Welcome to the Netivot Shalom Shir. We're just a few days away from Rosh Hashanah, and we know that Rosh Hashanah, the first day of Rosh Hashanah, is on Shabbos. And on Shabbos, we do not blow shofar. We blow the shofar only on the second day this year, which is Sunday. And the Netivot Shalom discusses why Shabbos is different. And basically, what he talks about is that, and I'll just go a quick summary as to what I gleaned from what we're going to be studying. The shofar is sounded for two basic reasons. One, we are inaugurating and crowning the King of the world on Rosh Hashanah, acknowledging God's dominion over the world as the creator of the world. So that's number one, the coronation of the king. The second is to sort of confuse the Satan and help sweeten any negative judgments against us. And on Shabbos is a combination of love and fear of God blended together. And on Shabbos, there is no din, there's no judgment. So therefore, one of the things he points out is you don't need the shofar for that part. You don't need it for din. And the coronation, we recognize that through the wording in some of the psukim that talk about remembering the sound of the shofar. So that's just a quick introduction. Let's look at what he says. Mamar Moram Bal Beis Avraham Zchuslain Mishnah. In the Mishnah Rosh Hashanah it says, Yom Tov Shel Rosh Hashanah Shechal B'Yos B'Shabbos. On Yom Tov of the first day of Rosh Hashanah, that happens to be on Shabbos, B'Mikdash Hayatokin, during the days that the Holy Temple was existing in Yerushalayim, they would even if the Rosh Hashanah came out on Shabbos in the Beis Hamikdash, they would still blow the shofar. But avalo b'Medina, but not outside of the Beis Hamikdash, the rest of the countryside. The b'chol hamitzvos yesh chelek hamachshava hadibur. Every mitzvah has a portion, a part of which is thought and speech. Yesh chelek hamase b'foel. There's also the part of completing a mitzvah with the actual doing of the mitzvah. The part of doing a mitzvah that is connected to the brain is called mikdash, holiness, the holy temple. And the part of that you're doing a mitzvah through your avorim, your limbs, nikra Medina, that's called Medina. That's outside the base of the That's the intent of Rosh Hashanah that comes out on Shabbos. The Mikdash Hayatoki Navalova Medina. They blew the shofar in the base of Mikdash, but not outside of the base of Mikdash. Shim'omna b'chela kamasa b'foel lo hayatoki b'shofar b'Shabbos Kodesh. If it's only about that part of doing, physicality of it, you shouldn't have to blow on Shabbos. But everything that's connected to the base of Mikdash, all the intentions, the inner understanding, Shotakiyas a shofar of blowing the shofar, no Shabbos Kodesh. It should also it also sounds like it should be done on Shabbos, on the Holy Shabbos. I will call Mashrogea Lechelek HaMikdash, but everything that is connected to the part of the Mikdash, Kol HaKavodos Vanyanim Hapanimim Shatkiya Shofar, all of the intentions, the intensity, and the inner feelings of blowing the shofar, no Egushayach Gam Shabbos Kodesh is also present on Shabbos. Hainu Shalom Botla Tekiya Shofar b'Shabbos, and therefore we really did not in the base of Mikdash do away with blowing the shofar on Shabbos. Rosh Hashanah b'Shabbos. If Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbos, Mitkayim Inyan Tekiyas Shofar Madrega Ilat Yotem Yivos Hachol. You fulfill the aspect of blowing the shofar on a higher level than even when Rosh Hashanah is just in the weekdays. Umarumas Baroshe Tevos, and this is hinted at with the first letters of the three words Tiku B'Chodesh Shofar B'Keser Yom Chagenu, which we say on Mariv on the Friday night when it comes out on Shabbos, and that pasuk is from the Torah. It says, "Tiku b'chodesh shofar," blow on this month the sound of the shofar, keser yom chagenu, to announce the day of our festival. And it says the Rosh Hashanah. If you look at the words, the Tov, the Beit, and the Shin, Shu b'Shabbos. It spells on Shabbos. Yomnam up b'Shabbos Kodesh. Therefore, even on Shabbos, yesh inyan the taku b'chodesh shofar. There's an inyan that of some hold that even on Shabbos you should blow the shofar. Even though we don't have a base of Mikdash to blow it in. V'chem Yoshev al Pizab Yerushalmi, in the Gemara Yerushalmi says, Yalef she'ein toki b'Shabbos v'dish shnei kasuvim. We learned that we don't blow the shofar on Shabbos. We learn it from two different sentences. Kasuv echad omer, one sentence in the Torah says zichron teruah. It refers to remembering the sound of the shofar. Because of echad, another one, Omer says yom teruas yelochem, a day of blowing shall be for you. Eloha b'Shabbos, shirak mazkirim habachol shetoki. On Shabbos, we only reference that during the week we blow the shofar. L'chura kasha, and he has a question about this. Shiyose lefi zeh, it seems from this, the Be'ikar Parshas HaMoadot, in the Torah where it lists the various festivals, the three pilgrimage festivals, Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkos, and when it lists Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Lo Nizkar Ikar HaMitzvah, the Tekiyah Shofar, the mitzvah of Tekiyah Shofar, even in the Torah where it's talking about the holiday of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, even when it's talking about it, it doesn't mention Tekiyah Shofar, the blowing of the shofar, Zikaron Teruas Bavad, only mentions, it should be a remembrance of the blowing of the shofar. Guf HaMitzvah Parsha Karbanos Nemra, and in the main part of the mitzvah of blowing shofar is written in Parshas about the Karbanos, about the sacrifices of Parshas Pinchas. Elka Omer Zikaron Teruah, what it says is a remembrance of the blowing of the shofar. Gam hu midgof chelkei mitzvah shel tekiyah shofar. That's also like part of the body of blowing of the mitzvah, blowing the shofar. Amas kaimus k'shechal Rosh Hashanah b'Shabbos madrega elai yoter. That you fulfill when Rosh Chodesh comes on Shabbos. You're raised up to a higher level as Shabbos always does. Excuse me.
Amen.
It's important to say Amen to a bracha. Our sages teach us that we should say 100 brachas a day, and we should say 90 Amens a day. So it's a very important concept when you're trying to make a bracha to say Amen, and it's equally important to say a bracha out loud so somebody can say Amen. We always want the opportunity to give somebody else a mitzvah, and that's doing that. Then he goes on, we are Inyan, the explanation of this thing is Apia Nizkar Lamal, as we said above, Sheesh B'Shofar Shtei Hoinyanim, the Rosh Hashanah. There's two aspects in the shofar about Rosh Hashanah. The first, Aleph, Inyan Yom Adin. Rosh Hashanah is referred to as the day of judgment. Shemitorim Bo Katrugim, all of the accusers of the Jewish people are awakened. Ayidei HaShofar Nimtakin Hadinim. But by blowing the shofar, it sweetens the judgment, sort of confuses those accusers. That's the first one. Inyan of Din, judgment. And the second one is Beit Inyan HaChadashot HaMelucha. The second one is the renewing of the kingdom of God. Shenizkar B'Tamei Ki Shofar, as it's written in the Sefer talking about the Ki Shofar, Rabbi Sadia Gon, Shu Aldas Malchuso de Ara, Sheba'esh Hakateret Hamelech Toki B'Shofar. So just like a worldly king at the time of inauguration, you blow a shofar, you sound trumpets. So too, B'Kivan Rosh Hashanah Hu Yom Chadosh Habriya, since Rosh Hashanah is a day of the renewal of creation, Alkein Hu Gam Yom Chadashot Kateret Bachuso Yisborach, so too is it the name of renewal of the crowning of the king, Al Habriya, crowning God as the God over all creations. B'Shabbos Kodesh, we know on Shabbos, as we say in the prayers Friday night, Chodinim Isabrim Ina, Kol Shuturim Rugzin Mori the Dina Kul Arkin, Chodinim Isabrim Ina. All of the accusers flee, and there is no din, no judgment left to judge you. It all flees away because of Shabbos. And this is not just the reality of judgments. Mamela and Sricha the shofar, Lam you don't need the shofar to make the din sweet because there is no din. Rosh Hashanah, Shabbos, we see that when Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbos, Iker Inyan HaShofar, Hurak HaKoteret HaMelucha. The main aspect of blowing the shofar is to inaugurate, to crown the king, coronation of the king. You can do this by just remembering the shofar alone. By remembering it alone, you're remembering the Malchus, the kingdom, the crowning of God as the king of the world. Shabbos, machshava v'dibur hem kamaser. On Shabbos, your thoughts and your speech are like actions. As we find Shakasa Omer, it says in the Torah, The favorite, she says, V'shamru, B'nai Yisrael Shabbos, Chulu, Lasos et HaShabbos, He says you should observe the Shabbos and you shall do lasot Shabbos, do Shabbos. She'ein b'Shabbos mitzvos masyot v'chol mitzvos b'machshava b'dibur. On Shabbos, there's no physical things that you have to do to be able to keep Shabbos, and all of the mitzvos are through your thoughts and through your speech. As it says, Zacharas Yom Shabbos l'kadshu. Remember the Sabbath day to make it holy. Zichro k'dvorim. Remember it with words. L'kach, therefore, call in Yoni Tekiyas Shofar, but Poel, all aspects of blowing the shofar, actual blowing the shofar, sheish bimos hachol, that are also blown during the days of the week. Yecholim yiskayim b'Shabbos Kodesh. They can be fulfilled. The prayers that you're saying with regard to the shofar blown the rest of the week, they can be fulfilled with the thought and speech of Shabbos. And as it goes on, he says, Shabbos Kodesh. How do we fulfill that on Shabbos Kodesh? We know that the Shemona Esra on Rosh Hashanah is divided into three different sections. And they're called Malchiot, the kingdom, Zichronot, remembering the Shofar and blowing the Shofar. V'zeh Shamar v'Mikdash, and this is what we said in the Mikdash, in the Holy Temple. Tokin, they would blow avolo b'Medina, but not outside of the temple. She'ein tzorech l'kol before, because outside the temple, you didn't need to blow at all. Yesh lomer, shezeu haremaz b'rosh tables tiku b'chodesh shofar b'keseh shehu b'Shabbos. That is hinted at from the words tiku b'chodesh shofar b'keseh. Refers to Shabbos. The Indian Rosh Hashanah, Merames Akoach Hanelam Sheinu B'Foel. The Rosh Hashanah, the first letters of the words, hint at the power that is run away, that is lost, that is no longer here. Ligla, to be revealed. Lakach Einu Kosu B'Ferush. Einu Kosu B'Ferush Kalecha B'Rosh Tables. It's not written separately, specifically that it's on Shabbos, but you have to glean it from the first letters. The hidden power that has gone missing from the blowing of the shofar, you can find that power, and it can work on Shabbos. That parish Mamar Chazal, this explains what our sages say Matana Tova, a wonderful present. Yeshli b'bayis you have in my storehouse. What is that present? Shabbos Shemon. Shabbos is its name. Koach HaShabbos Kodesh, u'koach nelam, v'ganuz b'bayis genazim. Power of Shabbos is a power of running away and hidden in the house of those hidden things. Call in Yonei Hema Makshava B'Dibur Ve'bo Masim B'Foel. All of the things are dealing with your thoughts and your speech, and not with any deeds that you would do. Ikar Shabbos Kodesh Beini Ve'Mei Yisrael Osi Liolam, the main part of Shabbos is between me and B'nai Israel, a sign forever. Advekus hapnimis shel ish Yehudi b'Hashem Yisparach. It refers to the Devekos, the connection, the inner connection of every Jew with God, with Hashem Yisparach. But Koach Hanelam shel Tekiyah Shofar, the power of the Shofar that seems to be disappearing from us on Shabbos, not there. Hamakayim b'Shabbos, who old Madrega Yoter Elite. The concept of what the shofar is supposed to be about is even greater on Shabbos. Yasher Eidei Tekiyos Shofar before B'Mos HaChol, more so than if you were blowing the shofar during the weekday. Why? Because you combine the two qualities that you need to come close to God, fear and love together. The shofar in Yoni Yira, shofar represents fear. It says, "Ki yitaka shofar be'ir, v'am lo yachredu." It says in Amos, if a shofar is blown in the city, won't the people tremble? It invokes fear. Shofar chazak ma'od, by Torah giving of the Torah, it says the voice of the shofar was exceedingly loud. And everybody that was in the camp was shaking, was frightened. But Shabbos himidas sahaba. But Shabbos is a quality of love. Rosh Hashanah b'Shabbos. If Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbos, so the coronation of the king is through the combination of love and fear together, because you have both on Shabbos. Shleimut havoda. It's the completion of the service to God. Gemuruma as Rabbi Chazal, as is hinted at by our sages. Anochi v'lo yilecha v'dibur echad nemru. Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am the Lord your God. That is the statement of love. Lo yilecha Elohim alpanai, you should not have any other gods before me. That's a statement of fear. But they were said, B'dibur echad, only God can say two completely separate things in one thing. Similarly to Shomras Yom HaShabbos, Zachras Yom HaShabbos, one of the 10 commandments, it says, you shall observe, keep the Shabbos. The second says, you shall remember. So two things said at the same time. And then he goes on to say, he says, that's love and fear. You can understand through this, Madua Kaspa Torah, why the Torah wrote the Parshas Hamoados, when it talked about all the other festivals, Rak es ha-mitzvah shel zichron teruah, only the mitzvah of remembering the sound of the shofar. Lo es ikr mitzvah shofar yom teruah, not the main thing that the mitzvah shofar is a day of blowing the shofar. Yom al-pi omer harei zichron teruah hua ikr b'mitzvahs tekiyas shofar. The remembrance of blowing the shofar is the main part of fulfilling the mitzvah of blowing the shofar, meaning that you have to remember why you're blowing the shofar. You're blowing the shofar to sweeten the judgment. Rosh Hashanah b'Shabbos. So when Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbos, az miskayemes hakavana hapnimis, the inner strength is awakened. Shall the kiyas shofar, of the blowing of the shofar. Nimsa shedavka aidezi zichron, through it appears that only through remembering the shofar, remembering all the qualities of the shofar, all the things that it serves us. So davka on that, Shabbos Kodesh Mitzchayim Iker Hoinyan, the main part of this is fulfilled on Shabbos. Bakavana Shabbakia Shofar Batregi La Od Yoter. On Shabbos, the intentions of Tkiya Shofar, even though we don't blow the shofar, we still, for example, in the silent Shemona Esrei, still say Hayom Haras Olam, the thing we normally say after the shofar is blown. So that's I think that's all the Netivot Shalom says. But basically, as I indicated at the beginning, the whole concept of shofar is to accomplish two things. One is to crown the king of God as the king of the world, and the second is to get rid of judgment. And since on Shabbos you don't have that, therefore on Shabbos it becomes a higher level blowing the shofar. Not an easy, not the easiest concept that he puts out there, but I think he's spelling out for us that we're not losing anything on Shabbos by not blowing. In fact, we're raising the concept of blowing shofar to a higher level, to the level of combining judgment and combining fear and love. Yira v'ahava. Okay, Adkan. I'm turning off the recording.
Yashikoa.
Torah.